How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Hope we're all doing absolutely fantastic. Today, we are bringing you an up-to-date custom tactics video where we're going to be talking about the 4-2-3-1. Now, I've been having a little bit of a think recently with regards to tactics. You know, we've been putting out so many different formations and tactics and, you know, having fun with them and so on. And some of them we've gone really in depth where we're overloading so much kind of like instructions and tactics and what we want. And I was kind of thinking at times, especially with the level of cards that we have on the game now, can less be more, if that makes sense. So this 4-2-3-1 we're going to look at, and what I was thinking about was going back to the 4-2-3-1 because it's probably a formation that I think a majority of FIFA players have got the most amount of reps in on. Now, the 4-3-2-1 has kind of dominated for the last 2.5 years, I would say. But prior to that, it really was a lot of the 4-2-3-1. Yes, obviously some 5-backs have been prominent as well, and 3-backs every now and then. As a whole, most people have got game time in the 4-2-3-1, which means attacking patterns-wise and defensive patterns and understanding where the players are and why they need to be there and so on, it just means you get a lot of fluidity going with this formation. So, less is more, and that's what we're going to talk to you about today in the 4-2-3-1. Now, I do use, I will say this, Didier Drogba up front. I don't think you need a big man necessarily. Like, you don't need to have that big striker in that role. However, one of the things I've found so easy right now to beat the press is L1 squares, LBXs, essentially into the striker. And because Drogba obviously has aerial plus and because he's just a menace in the air, it means you can play out from the back really easy. So maybe something for you to think about if you do have a big man and you like using them. So these are the tactics that we are running. I'll talk about old gen as well for people that are on that side of things. Balanced defensive style. I can't really emphasize enough to people about how balance is just the best for when you start the game. I think the other two are very good when you want to maybe switch into something a little bit more aggressive. Let's say you're losing 2-1, you know, you can do that. And yes, you can get away with running press on possession loss the whole game because stamina drain just, you know, isn't enough now, obviously with cards having such good stamina. However, I don't think you need to take that unnecessary risk to start the formation, to start the game off. So balance is where we want to go. Now, 45 defensive width. There is a big issue, I think, in this game with attacking width and defensive width, where essentially, if you look where the left back is now on the screen, when you like go wide like this, it doesn't really work the way that the game says it is, because I think the way it's coded or the way that EA kind of do this is that where the edge of the 18-yard box is and the touch line, that's where the width impacts. So the actual distance that you're covering is so minimal, it really doesn't matter. But 45 width is what we go anyway. A little bit more narrower, but nothing too special. Now I'll go 58 depth. So the first thing is, if you're an old gen, I've played a bit of old gen recently, and I find it to be so open that lower depth is better. 40 to 45 for old gen users. Stick to that. New gen users, you don't want to sit so deep that you invite so much pressure. Because of hypermotion, your defense tracks runs back to Narnia, and one centre back could be a lot further back than the others, keeping a lot of people on side. So the way you can combat that is you can run a really high line with 71 depth and get the automatic offside trap, or you can manually offside trap, or you can track the runs yourselves with right stick switching. And that's going to be such a big part that I really recommend right stick switching to, you know, track over the top through balls. I'll go 58 depth. Just remember that when you run 46 depth and above, you get an automatic AI press regardless. Now, it's not as strong as it was when the game first came out because they have nerfed it slightly, but you do still get that. So sometimes, you know, your players will get kind of touch tight and on there to keep into account with that. Build up play, balanced, and then chance creation, direct passing. I actually originally started this with slow build up, and man, it's like me trying to run a 100-meter sprint. It ain't very quick, all right? And I know it says that, you know, it says exactly, but it's just too slow. Fast build up again is the opposite end of that scale. Balance is where you are going to see the best of everything. Your chance creation is direct passing. This has pretty much been the go-to for so many people. Now, I have played around recently with possession forward runs and had a bit of success with it, but I just thought for chance for this 4-2-3-1, if I go direct passing, the idea is that I can push the opponent's defense back a little bit. I L1 square into Drogba. Drogba knocks the ball down. He gets that gets it into Cantona, the centre attacking mid, right attacking mid, whoever it is, and you have a lot of success with that. 50 width, because again, less is more. I'm not really changing too much here. Players in box on 7, 1 corners, and 1 free kicks. Now, the instructions, you are going to be amazed by the lack of stuff here. Stay back while attacking on the fullbacks. That's it. Nothing else there. For your goalkeeper, I would recommend, if you have a keeper that you are confident with, who can come out and claim, comes across his sweeper keeper, especially with people looking for crosses themselves. Now, your centre defensive midfielder who you want to be more defensive minded, so I'm going to use too many in this role, he's going to stay back. What we ideally, if you can have here, you don't have to, but definitely high defensive work rates, medium attacking work rates if you can. High is not a problem. Well, it's not as good, but you can get away with it because you just stay back while attacking. He's going to tell them to sit that little bit deeper in that pivot, as everyone likes to say nowadays. But if they can have medium high, it just means it's just a little bit better for you. The right defensive mid. Now, I don't mind who you have here. High work rates is very crucial. The one thing that I think is really going to be beneficial for you is to try and have a midfielder that has a passing play style of a plus. So what we want here is long ball plus, tiki-taka plus, incisive pass plus, not whipped pass. We're not bothered about that because we're not going to go for them. I would prefer you to have long ball, but incisive can also be worked. That's for you, obviously, through balls along the ground as well. Xabi Alonso is a demon. I absolutely love him, especially because he gets himself into the box for some late arrivals. Cut passing lanes and cover centre. Passing lanes just being the default for me this year, if I'm honest with you. Now, your centre attacking mid, your right attacking mid, and left attacking mid have absolutely nothing on them. And why did I do this? What was my thought process here? What I want from these attackers is for them to play to their card strengths and the way that they want to play, and not really tinker too much with the AI position and let them do it themselves. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't trigger runners, use player locks, creative runs, whatever. But there's been times where I've gone like free roam, get into the box for cross. And I find sometimes it can be a little bit not right the way that I want. And that's why I've just said, if I just leave you on no instructions, on just balanced, what that then means is you are going to do what you essentially think is best in those moments. All right. So they will kind of roam. They will do what they want to do. And that works nicely. Same for the striker. Absolutely no change in on there for you. And as I said, if you do have a hold-up striker, I think this is fine. If you don't, and say you're using Mbappe up front, I'm fine with you putting them on getting behind. That is also going to work for you as well. That really isn't a problem. So just to go over some highlights for you here on how we kind of set this up. Late on into this game, extra time, ball roll, scoop turn, come back in, go to Drogba with a player lock and then look for the knockdown. Neymar in that centre attacking mid role. I really can't emphasize enough that if you do use a big player, triggering the run here for Neymar, linking up with that cam, playing for that knockdown will benefit you so much if you can. And just to showcase it again in terms of how I beat the press, if I'm unsure, L1 square straight up to Drogba, win that knockdown, bang, I'm out of the press. Now I can play. Obviously play that ball through again into Cantona, giving us that ability to drive, go forward, a good little touch from Mbappe, and a nice calm finish. Now, this is why I think having long ball plus is so crucial if you can. Xabi Alonso straight from kickoff, over the top to Mbappe. Still got a lot of work to do here. Trigger the runner on Drogba to get into the 18-yard box, use that player lock, run towards the back post. That's why I like a big man. And to showcase kind of how we build up, as I said, just looking to kind of go into the transition as we want, recycling as and when we need. Should have used the fullback there. We get that ball and then it's about, okay, can we try and get Mbappe into these sort of areas where he can run, he can have that pace and go. We managed to drive, come back in, go to Drogba, knock down there, centre attacking mid where he needs to be. Lovely. So let me know how you find the tactics in the comment section below. If you have missed any of our recent videos, you can click on this up here and that will take you directly to it.